Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. We're into the new year now. And what we thought would be good in this episode is just to cover a few questions that we've been getting about people's finances. Tamaine, do you want to hit us with the first one?
Let's go. How do you know if you're on track with your finances?
Oof. I don't personally, and I really struggle with this, but what we've got is a load of stats. Let's pull out some of the stats and have a chat about them, about averages and stuff. I want to talk about, what the figures are, but also maybe some of the flaws in the figures and the data, and also how maybe just because people have got a certain amount in a certain way doesn't mean that you should aim for that.
Yeah.
I think the first one's great for this. So the mean average amount of money held in UK savings accounts is £17,365 across all age groups, younger to older, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so mean, first of all. The issue with the mean average is it's impacted by people with a lot.
Yeah.
So, if you've got 10 people and everyone's got £1 and then one person's got $1 million,
it's going to bring up
the mean average will be a lot higher, even though the most people have got £1. So the mean figure, first of all, take it into consideration that people with lots of cash in savings accounts are going to boost that figure. And then secondly, for me, £17,000 in cash is quite a lot of money, isn't it?
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
I see the savings account as an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Not like I would rather, if I had 17 grand in my emergency fund, I'd invest most of it. Yeah. So
an emergency night out in Vegas, just in case that comes up. Like, do you know what I mean? What are you saving for?
Yeah, it's a lot. See, I'd have a lot less in there and then put it in investments, but emergency fund is very important.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested to see what the median figures look like there. I actually know them because I've been looking at them recently. And I know that for people in the 30 to 34 category, the median amount in financial assets like this was under £500. So again, the mean warps it a lot. You imagine Bukayo Saka and Phil Foden, how much cash have they got in their bank accounts?
Yeah.
They've probably got millions just sat in cash, and they're just dragging that figure up.
Yeah.
What you've said there is key as well. Someone could be walking around going, I've got £100,000 in cash in a bank account. You could be putting £500 a month into a stocks and shares ISA. Over the long run, you'll lap them because they're not risk on. They're not investing that money when they should be. Yeah. So having, I should be aiming for 20 grand in cash in my bank account. I would challenge that and say, are these people using that money correctly or not? Yeah. I mean, they might just have
insane amounts of money, and for them, that's an emergency fund.
If you're spending £6 grand a month, 6 to 10 grand a month, that might be an emergency fund. Yeah. And that's, people get to that kind of level. So that's, Okay, next one. Up to a third, 34% of adults have either no savings or less than £1,000 in a savings account. So there we go. Makes you feel better. You hit you with that shit sandwich.
Yeah, everybody who doesn't have 17 grand's feeling a lot better right now. They're at least I got something.
Yeah. Take a lineup of adults and one in three of them have got no savings at all.
Which is what you always say about people are one paycheck or two paychecks away from being homeless.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So I think I'm probably saying the stats before they come up, but 6% of adults have a stocks and shares ISA. So if you've got a stocks and shares ISA with more than £1 in it, you're in the top 10%, 6%.
I hear a lot of people talk about cash. A lot of my friends are I've got my cash ISA, and I'm like, you should look at the stocks and shares ISA. But most people have more people have a cash ISA than stocks and shares, right? Yeah.
Well, we interview people sometimes who are experts in their field, and then we talk about investing in stocks and shares ISAs, and they're like, I don't really understand that, but I'm an inequality expert or something. So I think there's a lot of people out there who are hyper intelligent or capable of having that sort of asset, who just don't do it for whatever reason and prioritize cash. Most people have a cash ISA, most don't have a stocks and shares ISA. If you're listening to this and you go away, or this year you've set up a stocks and shares ISA and you put a couple of quid in it, you're in a rare breed of person in the UK, and I think you should pat yourself on the back for that. Do you know what I mean?
And if you're not, it's not, you can do it now.
Yeah. 61% of UK adults save money either every or most months. Okay, so 6 in 10 of UK adults save money every month. Okay.
That's impressive.
61%. Yeah, do you save money every month?
I invest money every month.
Okay.
I don't know if that counts. Does that count as
No, I
saving
think
money?
that's saving.
Yeah, I invest money every month.
This
When
is-
I get my paycheck, I do investment straight away and then I live off the rest.
I think you've hit on something important there. Saving and investing, you could probably say they're different things. Yeah. So saving would be towards short-term goals or even medium-term goals, wedding, buy a house.
Car.
Yeah. Investing is like much longer term. Yeah, I think the two, if we separated the two and separated the activities that they kind of pay for, maybe people would understand it more. Because I think some people probably think, well, I save some money into premium bonds every month, so that'll do. Do you want to read the next one?
Almost 2/3, 65% of people believe that they wouldn't be able to last 3 months without borrowing money. Wow.
Oh no, I think it's like I just gotta spend on that credit card. No, I think it means if they had no income for 3 months, they would have to borrow money.
Yeah.
This is what you were saying about 2 months away from bankruptcy, isn't it? I mean, you know, like remove someone's main income, and how long is it until they need to borrow to pay the bills? That's the emergency fund point, isn't it?
Yeah. So if your finances are in a good position, you could obviously survive a lot longer. If you're in a better position, you can survive a lot longer without borrowing money or without a paycheck.
Yeah,
So
weather that
like
storm. I think the key thing here is, right, people think of an emergency fund and they think of emergencies, funny enough, but actually think of it as like a freedom or flexibility fund. So if you're in your current job and you don't like it, or you get sacked, or you get made redundant without pay or whatever, if you've not got an emergency fund, you have to get a job. And that limits your ability to find a good job massively, because you're basically like, whoever offers me a job first, I'm taking it. Because you have that horrible thing of you start and then you're going to wait 6 weeks before you get paid and you're already thinking, oh my God, do you know what I mean? Whereas if you have 3 months worth of living costs, you've got that ability to choose. And I bet there's some credible data that people who take a bit of time will get a better job outcome. And long term, that's going to have a massive impact on your wealth. Because instead of settling for 25K a year, you held out and you got 45, you know, and something that you like for a better company and all of these things. So emergency fund is like, people are like, what's the worst that's going to happen? My tire's going to pop. But more of like an FU fund or a flexibility fund, I think, is a better way to frame it.
FU fund.
Yeah,
so like if your boss is giving you a hard time, you'll be like, I don't need this crap. Or if like you want to start your own business, you can be like Damo, screw this job, I'm gonna go start my own business. I might not make money for 6 months, but I'm okay for those 6 months because I've got an emergency fund or savings.
It allows you more choice and flexibility in your life. It allows you to kind of dictate where you go. And I think that's why it's so important. And when an emergency does hit, it protects your investments because you don't need to sell them.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, so it's actually it's like an investment in your investments.
Before this book, I had emergencies. I was like, oh crap, I've sold many investments to like pay for like short-term emergencies. And I'm like, and then you watch them going up, you're like, I've lost money on that. Because I had to sell it. So yeah.
And it's just kind of, you know, as my nan would say, it's like, what is it? Is it Murphy's Law? What? It's not Murphy's Law. What's the law? Everything that could possibly go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's Murphy's Law.
I don't know if it is Murphy's Law. That's probably the one about computers doing really well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's some guy sometime said any shit that could happen will happen.
Yeah.
And basically, it's always when you don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
So your tire pops the moment you lose your job. Yeah. You know, it comes in threes.
They always compound, yeah. I told you.
I told you it was Murphy's Law. God.
This guy.
What's the one about computers then? And the power doubles every...
Moore's Law.
More? Okay.
Men have more savings on average than women across every age group. That's definitely true in my household, so...
Let's keep it that way. What are you trying to say?
No, it's not.
That's how I like it. No, I think... Okay, so how long did your partner take off work with your child?
She hasn't gone back yet. I don't know if she's going back.
Exactly. And what kind of
2 years, yeah.
What kind of savings is she doing at the minute? She's saving your ass from doing any work around the house. Is what's going on.
Facts.
Yeah.
She's not really saving now because she's not working.
But this is an
But
interesting
she's
point.
got the savings from before.
Yeah, but like, that's why, right?
Yeah.
I think that's probably why. I think early age, so 20s, men typically engage in money topics more. You know, men gamble more, men like anything to do with money, men are more in that world. And then by the time that women realise, oh, okay, I need some kind of self-agency here, they might have a baby and they might step out of the workforce, and that then means that they're not saving through that period. And, you know, I don't think it's like malicious or bad. I think it's a situation like your situation where it's like, we're together, I'm earning the money, you're running the home, very traditional kind of mindset. I'm saving because I've got the cash. But then, and I'm going to look after my partner and my baby. But then what happens if you split up and it's like, well, that's my money. You know what I mean? And this is how you get those issues that come about. The sensible thing to do would be maybe to make an allocation for her to save still, because from a tax planning perspective in retirement, it makes sense to have two pots of £500,000 more than it does with one for £1 million.
Definitely.
Because, you know, you can share the tax burdens and things.
So one thing we did, we both opened LICEs together, and then I just put in for both of our
Because
LICEs.
then you get like the full bonus,
yeah,
right?
so I pay into both of our LICEs and then both of our SIPs as well.
Yeah.
So so I'm planning to. I want some of that money as well when we retire. So I've got to make sure she's got a good pension, I got a good pension. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, there's, you know, if you're a higher rate taxpayer, the tax break that you get on contributing into your pension might be more beneficial than paying into hers when she's not earning money and stuff. So you've got to consider these things. But I do think if you're committed to your partner and you think long term we're going to be together, it makes sense to at least balance it a bit so it's not too one-sided. But I think we can hear stats like that and think, oh, the world is sexist. And maybe there's an element of that, but I also think it's like, it comes about from the very natural process of women have kids and women then tend to be the primary caregivers. I think we just need more conversations about that. And I think people just need to understand that actually it can be beneficial for you to top up your partner's pensions or whatever. My mate at the minute, recently he made a bit of money in crypto, but the crypto was in his partner's name because she wasn't working, so the capital gains tax allowances and stuff. So like these little conversations.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Have you got another one for me? One group of people that don't really seem to get much help with their finances are small business owners. They're not really big enough to have a CFO or a finance director, so they often outsource work to do with their finances like accounting. This can result in a few things, but one of them is they don't get good, actionable advice on what to do with the excess money inside of their business. And what normally happens is they just leave that cash sat in a business bank account, getting no interest. This is why we're happy that we're partnering with Tide. They offer an instant access saver account where new customers can get 4.07% AER variable on unlimited deposits until June 1st, 2025. If you'd like to put the excess capital in your business bank account to good use, head to the link in the description. You'll also find there the full offers, T's and C's and Tide's terms. The variable rate is correct as of the 19th of December, 2024.
Something from the FCA. Those guys know what they're talking about sometimes. 39% of adults in the UK were not coping financially or finding it difficult to cope or had no disposable income. 39% sounds about right. We're talking about cost of living.
Not coping financially or finding it difficult to cope or had no... I mean, I can fully believe that. Yeah. I think, you know, when I first graduated, I graduated on a job on 15k a year, living in Manchester. And I was living with my mate in a 2-bed flat. If that flat is 2,500 quid a month to rent now, do you know what I mean? Like, how the hell, like, so I would be needing, just to rent the place, I need like, you know, three times what I was earning or double what I was earning back then. And the wages haven't done that.
Yeah.
The wages have not done that. Like, maybe if I got that same job now, I might be on 25 grand. Still can't afford that flat because every other cost. So just that alone tells me that it's gone way out of whack since the financial crisis, because we're talking 2010 when I graduated. Yeah. And I think what's happened is the cost of everything's gone up loads and wages have kind of stagnated. And then what we've done is tax bands have been frozen as well. So there's that fiscal drag component of more people have crossed over into higher tax bands and they're just being taxed at a higher rate than they probably should be because your tax bands haven't risen with inflation like they should have. So everything's become twice the cost. You're not getting paid twice as much. Yeah. So now...
rent's going up crazy.
So, you know, 80k is getting you what 40k got in the past, you know, kind of vibes. And like, we talk about the inflation period of the last 2 to 3 years, but I think a lot of people remember 10 years ago and remember this ability to go on holiday and it not cost you £5 grand.
It doesn't even feel like 10 years. It feels a lot more recent than 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know. So we've got some figures here from Unbiased that say how much you should have saved by each age. So this should be interesting. So by the age of 30, you should have £51,434 equivalent, or the equivalent of your annual income, one-time salary. I'm guessing this is in pension and stuff as well. That seems high to me. 51
Did you
grand.
have 51 grand at the age of 30?
No.
I had 51 grand of debt at the age of 30.
Yeah. No, to be fair,
From like student loans and
once
like,
you
things
take
like
in
that.
pension and stuff like that, yes, I probably did.
At 30?
Yeah.
You get your pension sorted at 30?
Yeah, auto-enrollment and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been working a lot. I'm not like you. You never sit past the...
Yeah,
like,
you're shorter, yeah. You're a lot shorter.
This guy. You don't never get past the trial period, do you?
No.
They invented the trial period for you. Extend that and then get rid. But anyway, no, I probably had around that, maybe more. I'd also been saving in stocks and shares, ISAs and things like this. I don't know. I don't remember that, but I really hate these things of like, you need 1 times your income.
Like, you should have, yeah, that's...
In where? In cash in a bank account, because that's no good to you.
Yeah.
Or is it within pensions and risk on assets? Again, like people who discover these figures by the age of 30 or 40 or 50, they're so depressing. But what I actually think is the majority of people in the UK are not engaged with their finances in any meaningful way. No matter what age you are, if you discover the power of compounding and the power of investing and you engage and you go for it, you're going to outrun everyone. So don't worry about all this crap. Let's read the rest anyway, because we need the content. The average savings age by average savings by 40 should be £124,911.
See, to me, that makes a bit more sense, because in your 20s, you're like, you might be having fun, you might be in uni, you might be, doing a few jobs that you're not planning to stay in long term. But if you've got between the age of 30 and 40 to go from 51,000 saved to 124,000 saved, I'm pretty sure most people earn more in their 30s than they do in their 20s. So it seems like a more attainable target. But maybe that's just because I'm mid-30s. So for me, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. By 50, 198 grand. By 60, 270. So the interesting conversation here is, are they saying that a 30-year-old by 60 needs 270 grand? Because I'm saying that's not enough. I'm saying, like, if you want to retire, what I think this actually is a 60-year-old today should have 270, because they're going to get 270 with their pension, which will get them 3, 6, 9, 12 grand a year. They got a partner, 12 grand a year. They both get 2 state pensions. That's another 24 grand. So they're on about 48 grand's worth of income as a household. That's a medium style PLSA.
That was some quick maths. My mind is reeling, but it sounded like it made sense. Yeah, no, I got it.
Don't fact check it. What I mean is that I think I think 270 grand today for us. This is why I don't like these figures at all. They're just not, you're saying to a 30-year-old, you need 270 grand by 60. I don't think that that's going to be enough inflation adjusted. And the things that 60-year-olds today have going for them or have going against them are completely different for the 30-year-olds. Because that 60-year-old might have a paid off house, or they might have a generous pension, or they might have a bad pension. But what they certainly got is a generous state pension. Yeah. And that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of, 12 grand a year of income, roughly, just, approximate figures. So 270 grand by 60 might be enough.
But
like I say, because they might get 11 grand a year from the 270. The partner has similar. And, what if they're single? I don't know. I think these are as useful as a chocolate light bulb or whatever the saying is.
All right, let's help them out with something simple and tangible, a checklist.
Okay, yeah. So we've got one here. Got an emergency fund. Yeah, have you got an emergency fund? Budget, whatever works for you. Oh, I'm guessing what they mean there is do a budget, whatever style works for you. Spreadsheet. I think keep it simple.
Yeah.
People have these next level budgets where they input one cell and it's like ChatGPT and stuff. It crunches numbers.
Exponentially growing and doing things. Yeah, just do what we did. Look at your bank account and then set up a budget. Look what you spend on, and then
in column, out column. That's it.
Yeah, simple.
I shared mine and I got all this hate.
Well, they say it was too basic.
Emailing me, go, your budget's so shit. I'm like, it works though.
There's 2 columns and it
where's
works.
your finance channel? Dickhead. Do you know what I mean? My budget is shit. My budget is healthy, mate. What are you talking about? It's like, because it didn't do all this all singing, all dancing, someone was like, you should use pastel colours because they're more pleasing on the eyes. I'm there with a harsh yellow. Harsh yellow and garish red.
The garish red.
No, but I think like people really like the fancy budgets, and I just think keep it really simple for me. I literally have an in column of like, this is my income, out column, here's all my expenses, sigma it at the bottom, so I get a total, and I go that minus that equals that. And as long as that figure's 0 or above, I'm lit. You know? Yeah.
Keep it simple.
How's your budget?
Oh dear. The next one on the checklist is
I remember his name.
Oh, God. You want to call him out?
I'm calling for him. He's on my board, mate. That board ain't simple. It's complicated. Okay, get out of bad debt.
How much coffee have you had today, Damien? 4th cup of coffee. Just going. Yeah, get out of bad debt.
Get out of bad debt.
What about the good debt?
Yeah, I mean, but there's plenty of good debt, and even the bad debt can be good debt. So a credit card can be a great thing if you can handle it. But I think you need to have a real honest conversation with yourself. You're probably one of these people that can't handle a bit of...
I can't handle a credit card. I'm not responsible.
I'm the same. I'm the same.
I just don't have it.
I'm the same. Like, I like the idea of going, I'm just going to get the Amex. I'm going to do this and we'll get the points. And I just end up spending $5,000 on crap.
It's like giving my 2-year-old fireworks. You just can't give me a credit card. It's just going to be chaos. So
have that conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think most people don't, and they think, I'm not adulting until I'm getting the points on my Amex.
Yeah.
You know, that works for the people who are really good at paying it off in full every month and all of this kind of stuff. I just came to a point in my life where I was like, I'm just going to use debit cards. I can't be bothered with the credit cards. The benefits aren't that good. The one thing I will say that I use them for is if I'm going to buy a big purchase, so for my home studio, spent say like 12 grand on equipment, put it all on an interest-free credit card, and then every month just had a direct debit go in so that I paid it off within the period. It's almost like an interest-free loan.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I take that? But I'm not one of these people that like rinses
Puts
the
everything
points
on the credit card.
No, like coupons and all of that stuff. Some people are that way inclined. So first of all, identify, are you bad with debt? And then that dictates what is the bad debt. I would certainly say anything that you're paying an interest above 6% on, you might want to be like, okay, well, I should probably look at getting rid of this. The only thing I would maybe say not is car finance. Car finance is kind of like home finance in the sense of if you want a car of a certain level, you're probably going to get a loan on it. I mean, there's a whole conversation about whether you should just get a banger and drive around in that. But I get that certain people, like, it's important to them to have a German whip.
So you're looking at me.
Yeah. And then, just hammer it down. They got the snowball and the avalanche method. So it's kind of like the stupid names for... I'm so angry today.
It's all the coffee, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and that guy rinsing my budget. There's they are silly names for like two very simple things. One of them, I can never remember which, but one is like you take the debt with the highest interest rate, you pay that off first, and then once you've paid that off, you pay the others off. You maintain minimum payments across all the others. The other is you take the smallest debt as in the number, clear that first because it's motivating to get rid of the little piddly ones. The best thing to do is pay the highest interest rate first.
Makes sense.
Because, see it as the gain you make is whatever the interest rate is.
Not paying that off.
Yeah, if something is charging you 30% a year, you are, by paying that off early, you're saving that amount of money.
Exactly.
So yeah, get rid of bad debt. I mean, get an emergency fund, budget whatever you can, get out of bad debt. I personally probably wouldn't be doing it in that order. I would be saying do a budget first of all, otherwise how are you going to know what money you've got? Identify areas of your spending where you're probably overspending and cut those back and get rid of crap that you don't need. You don't need Disney and Netflix, like just pick one. Those kind of things can make a big difference at this level. You're not going to get rich off it, but when we're talking about sorting your life out completely, leaning out £11 here, £10 there, you suddenly got an extra £100 a month, and that can be that's the debt payment. So just for this period of time, cut back. I went to the bone at this period. I used to, on the first of every month, walk to Manchester, which was about a 4-mile round trip. buy like 6 kilos of mince from the butcher and carry it home, just dripping bag of
meat sauce just dripping out.
And I'd make enough bolognese to last me a whole month. Like if you bulk cook bolognese 30 at a time, the price per unit goes so low, mate. So low. And and then, you know, I would just boil a bit of pasta every night and get a block of frozen bolognese out of the freezer and eat that every night. My mate would be like, "You're eating bolognese again for like 3 years."
I'm still here.
Yeah. Anyway, do the budget first of all and cut out the unnecessary stuff. And then I think personally with the whole, I was like, you've got to have an emergency fund before you invest and pay the debt. I think that's boring. And I think all you're doing then is you're desperate to get to the goal of investing and saving. So go, I'm maintaining all the payments to my debt and I'm building up an emergency fund because otherwise what will happen is an emergency will happen and then you just have to spend on the debt again. And then start a bit of investing. Go, let's just put £5 a month into it. Just so you got some skin in the game and you can kind of feel like you're progressing. Because even though when you clear off your debt, you are progressing, it's this horrible feeling of like pushing to zero. Yeah. You're like below zero.
And then you finally get up to zero, like, wow, all of that work.
2 years and I'm at zero. Whereas you could have actually gone, well, at least I've, you know, when all your mates are like, oh, I benefited from the stock market going up. You're like, yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
You know, and I think do a little bit of everything, a bit of moderation. Cybersecurity is becoming a growing concern for businesses in the UK. Hacking, phishing, duping. Look, I get it. I see people spoofing my account and likeness all of the time online to scam people. So if you want to get your business cyber secure and prove that you're secure, then you need to check out our partner, Vanta. Whether you're a startup growing fast or you're already established, Vanta can help you get certified with stuff like GDPR and ISO 27001 without all of the headaches. Vanta massively reduces the time and effort you need to spend on cybersecurity. For example, the questionnaires that you have to fill out to prove you're compliant with these standards. With Vanta, you can get them done up to 5 times faster. The beauty is Vanta allows you to stop stressing over cybersecurity, taking up headspace so you can focus on what you do best, which is growing your business. You can get $1,000 off today by going to vanta.com/makingmoney. There's a link in the description for you. For me, that whole you need the emergency fund thing first is quite restrictive. So is the bad debt thing. Sort your pension. Again, don't agree with the order. I think the pension should be right up there at the top. I think even if you're in the worst kind of payday loan debt ever, you should be paying into your employer work scheme because you're going to get old one day and the tax benefits are so high that money's taken. You won't even really notice it's gone. Life insurance. I mean, there's an argument there with the life insurance that you would do that early as well because if you can't afford it, so pay the debt off first. But, you know, if you die, you die. Debt dies with you. So,
I mean, play devil's advocate as someone who hasn't had his pension sorted from 30 like you, it's a lot of information to give people. Like, you're like, well, you got to do emergency fund, you got to do like your debt, you got to do your insurance. I mean, life insurance is, I did it towards I haven't done it yet, towards the end of my like getting my finances in order.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I did everything else and then that's the last thing on my list.
Yeah, much. I'm going to redo the checklist. I'm just going to say, you should be looking at your pension straight away at work and doing a budget. Start there. And like, you know, understand that by doing your pension, you're investing, you're in that scheme. Then once you've done your budget, you know how much you've got spare each month, allocate that towards paying off bad debt, assuming that, you know, my debt was so bad that every bit of money I had to go to it. If you're not in that position and you're clearing it off and there's a little bit of money that you can break away for investing, do it. Because I just understand the human element of, I was just so desperate to start investing that I just wanted to do it. Yeah. And I think people, we kind of say to people, you have to do this first, then you have to do that, then you have to, I don't know if I agree with that. We have actually got a newsletter series where we go through each step of that in more detail. So rather than listening to me angrily shout at the microphone because I've had too many coffees, that's more detailed, and we'll leave that below as well, where we go through it step by step. We've got a question here from a specific person. Gizmo 10777. Go on, read it out to you.
My wife and I have been saving for our futures for a few years now. We invest around $1,000 per month into stocks and shares ISA, plus our workplace pensions, which are maxed out with our employer matches. Saving feels like another bill now. I'm finding myself feeling more stressed about our finances than ever. Despite on paper being in the best position I've ever been in, when will I start to feel more comfortable, or is the stress something I'll just have to live with until I retire? This is a good one for you, Damo.
Probably better asking you, mate. You're like Mr. Laissez-faire.
I don't get stressed, though.
That's what I mean.
But he's saying he feels more stressed now than he ever has.
Yeah. So, there's that whole thing of people without money worry about getting it, people with money worried about keeping it. And I'm kind of that position as well. Like, I've got plenty of assets now, and I'm always wondering, like, oh, is that the right place to put it? What if there's this? What if there's that? Even though I know, the kind of the logic behind it. What I would say is £1,000 a month is amazing.
Yeah.
Has Gizmo asked himself, herself, am I saving too much? Do you know what I mean? Have they worked out like I need this amount in retirement, or I want that amount? And actually, I'm probably going to hit that anyway. Maybe that's the way to look at it, to set a goal figure at the end and to say, because if you're just blindly saving, you never find the bottom of that. And you just keep firing more and more money away.
I say a way to get less stressed is to look back at where you were like 5-10 years ago and be like, I prayed for times like this, as Meek Mill would say. I used to pray for when I look back, I'm like, oh, I remember.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, wait a minute. You thought I was finished? Yeah. I prayed for times like this to shine like this. So you look back and you're like, oh, I remember 5 years ago, I was like, oh, I really hope I get this job, or I wish I could afford some Ethereum, or I wish I could afford this new car. And then you look forward 5 years, you've got the new car, but you're like, oh, I want this. Like, you always look forward, but you don't actually look at how far you've come. So he said he's been investing for a few years, and now he's in the best financial position he's ever been in. So if you went back 4 years, would you take this right now? Would you be like, oh, I'm happy, I wish I was there, I would take this. So you should be less stressed and look back. That's what I do. Because I'm 2 years ago, my finances were in a state. So I look at the journey. I'm sitting next to you. I'm like, I want to be, or get all the stuff Damo's got. But I'm like, no, it's your own journey. You got to look at where you came from and where you are now, and see the growth.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was down to a T. A new segment we're having on the
Yeah, and you can follow me on Instagram for more wisdom at T is Making Money.
Yeah, there we go. I think that's great advice, mate. And I think, like you say, if you look back at where you've come from and where you are now, the logical assumption is that you're going to continue to do that. You're going to continue to grow, and in another 5 years, you'll look back and go, wow. Yeah, and I think that's really important that we do that. I would encourage Gizmo as well to just really ask yourself the question, am I doing enough, or am I doing too much? Or because that would set your mind at ease. So for me, I know if I save at the current rate that I'm saving at until the age of 40, 4 or 5 years' time, 4 years' time.
I was like, stop trying to make yourself younger, mate. I'll expose you right now.
I could probably stop saving and let the money just compound to when I retire and be okay. I wouldn't be lavish retirement, but that to me then is should I at least, maybe I dial it back a bit. Maybe in my 40s and 50s, I don't save as much and I live a bit, and I think in order to have that conversation with yourself, you need to know the number. I just think it's human nature to always find problems in everything you do and to always think, oh, I'm not doing enough or whatever. I hope that helps Gizmo, but we're probably in a similar position. Not T. T's chilling, man. T didn't even know there was a problem until he started on here.
Honestly, I didn't. I was like, what? I need to sort out life insurance. I need to sort out all this stuff. So yeah, it's good to be aware.
So we got another question here. How do you work out how much you need to save for retirement? There's something called the Trinity Study, and the Trinity Study said that at retirement, you can withdraw around 4% of a portfolio's value every year, and that it should get you to the end of retirement. There's a lot of if, buts, maybes on that. But if we just use that as a rule of thumb, that would mean if you had £1 million as a pension pot, you could draw about 40 grand a year off it, and it should last you for about a retirement. Some people will say that actually it should be 3% or 5%. If you say 3%, you're being more cautious. If you say 5%, you're being a little bit more aggressive. So what we can do then is we can go, okay, how much money do I need to live today? And I think the reason we do it off the figure we do today is because people underestimate how much they might spend in retirement. What I would say though is, if your aim is to buy a house, strip out the housing costs. So you're not going to be paying a mortgage, but you're not going to be traveling to work, but you're on a 7-day weekend. You're going to want to do stuff with your life, I would hope. You take that monthly figure, you times it by 12, and then you times that by 25 to get the 4% rule. So that 25 figure, the big figure that you'll get, it will be big, is the pot that you need to be able to draw 4% a year from it relatively sustainably. The problem with that number is it doesn't give you an inflation adjusted number. This is where it gets really terrifying because, you know, what we're saying is that in 30 years time, that £1 million won't be £1 million anymore. It's going to be, you know, it won't buy you as much, say. So you take that big figure and then you run it through an inflation calculator and maybe you assume that inflation is 3%. And you know that in 30 years then that figure is going to be a couple million, few million maybe. And what you would then do is you would back work from that and say, okay, how much do I need to save a month to hit that figure? The thing you want to, again, so it gets convoluted at this point because of the inflation piece. Don't forget that your wages and your savings rate is likely to increase with inflation as well. So while everything decreases in value, money decreases in its purchasing power, wages go up and stuff as well. So, you know, the average salary today, 30 years ago, it looks huge, but there's people that were saving 30 years ago for their retirements today and they're doing okay. You know, everything lifts up through that process of inflation over time. I would say start with the 25 rule. The 4% rule, which is times by 25. George Agan had a different rule. What was George Agan's? We've got that written down.
375.
So he said, yeah. So the 375 rule, you take your monthly expenditure and then you times it by 375, and that will give you your big number, the amount of money that you need. And importantly, the reason it's 375 is because it allows for 20% tax as well, and for you to still end up with the amount that you need to live off based on today's current expenditure. So do both figures and look at them and depress yourself.
And it's also how long you're going to be retired. George Agan says 30 years. So like, obviously we're living longer, so your retirement might not be 25 years, it might be 30, it might be longer, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think you can answer this question in your 30s. I don't think you know enough about what's going to happen down the line to seriously answer it. In the same way as the plans I had for my life in my 20s have not materialized in any way, shape or form. My life is completely different to how I'd expect it. And I suspect that if I try and look another 15 years out, it's going to be the same, right? So I don't think you need to know the answer. I think what you probably just need to do is have your eye on the goal and save as much as you can, but still live your life at the same time and approach it that way. If you're tucking away 10 to 15% of your total gross income through employer match and other forms of saving in your 30s, I think you're going to probably be all right, you know, because once you get to 40, 50, you'll dial that up because you're like, I'm earning more money, the kids have left, I've paid off the mortgage, so we're going to slam all that into pension. You know, if you're younger, saving anything above the auto enrollment is going to put you probably in a good place. Yeah, we all crave that number, don't we? We crave like how much? Who knows? Who knows? AI might just, you know, cure death. We live forever, and then
you keep pushing this. You really believe AI is going to keep you around forever?
Yeah,
and just compounding your pension for
I'm not
ever.
Leaving. That's what I do. That's what I do. And like I was talking to someone past, she's like, "Why do you want to live forever?" I was like, "I think the compounding.
Think about the returns.
Run it through.
Run it through 700-year compound
that's what I mean,
calculator.
mate. I'm gonna be a quintrillionaire, like richest man on the planet." He's been compounding. He started with a pound in 1988, and now it's like, you know,
multi-billionaire.
Yeah, quadradecadillionaire. What should I look for in a pension fund? So, if we talk about a work-based pension fund, let's just go there. The auto-enrollment ones, so the default funds, tend to try and be like a Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, just right for lots of different people. You might have 4 million people in that fund, all with different risk profiles and ages and things like this. So you tend to actually, it's better to be slightly too cold than it is to be too hot, too spicy. So, you know, what that means is that they tend to not have high exposure to equity. They might be like a 70% equity, 30% bonds. For me personally, and I think we need to make it clear, this is not investment advice. I'll only tell you about what I would do. I want high exposure to equities or the stock market while I'm young to increase my chances of growth, because I can survive. If the market crashes, I can, weather that out. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, mate. So, for me personally, I'm looking for global equity exposure when I'm in my 30s, 40s, potentially 50s. And then when I'm getting to my 50s, or maybe when I'm like 10 years, 5 years out from retirement, that's when I'm starting to question, okay, what do I do now? Should I dial down that equity exposure? Should I dilute it because I want to protect the value because I've got enough money? Again, it's a question of like, if you think you've got enough, what's the point in
de-risking?
Yeah, what's the point in keep going? Well, what's the point in keep going when you could de-risk potentially? Or you might stay consistent into equities because you might be 55 and go, well, if I think I'm going to live forever, or I'm going to live till 95, I've got as long ahead of me as I had behind me, so I might as well stay in the equities. I think you have that conversation at that age, like 50 odd. For me, it would be global exposure to a high equity fund, and I want it to be passive. So I don't want anyone actively managing it, because I personally believe that the fees are like starting a race 2 steps back when I could just do it myself. And I don't think that most active managers have convinced me that they can beat the market consistently. So yeah, passive, global, 100% equity, nice low fees. So within the work-based pension providers, the fees tend to be about 0.3% to 0.5% on their funds. You could get it much cheaper within a SIP. You could get funds that are 0.1 to 0.2% instead. But those would be the headlines. But if you're unsure and you don't know, I do this for a job at the end of the day. Nothing wrong with being in the default. It's better than nothing. So if you're starting there, or you're listening to this and this is the first time you're really engaging with your finances, I think the main thing to focus on is just making sure you're getting the most out of these schemes before you start tinkering. And if you're unsure, don't tinker. Just give it a little bit of time and then make a decision in a few years. Because if you're actively engaged, you're going to learn more. And then you're going to, I think people are desperate day one to be like, oh crap, I've figured all this out. I need to change everything around. I think that's when they make mistakes. So, chill.
So for the next question, we get a lot of people writing in about this. What do people do if they're starting investing later in life, 40 or 50?
Okay, yeah. I mean, first of all, don't panic and just chill out. There's plenty of time, and you can resolve this. It's not like, oh God, it's too late. The ONS, or was it the ONS? The IFS. So the Institute for Fiscal Studies, shout out Paul Johnson. He might have left the IFS now, but what a legend. They did like this piece of work where they looked at the optimal age to save at for retirement. And what they wanted to answer was, should we be saving consistently at 8% across our whole life? Or should we accommodate for life events like having children, earning more in later life? What is the optimal way to save, accommodating for what they called spending smoothing, I believe is the term. So making sure that in your 20s, you're not just flat broke at the expense of like your 50s. And what they actually found was that the shape was, instead of this linear line like this, was more like a bucket with a big kick up at the end. So you save in your 20s if you can, and then when you have kids, you basically nearly stop saving until your kids leave. And then once you've paid off your house and your kids leave, you ramp your savings rate up to about 20-30%. What the study concluded was, it may be optimal to start really saving for your pension in your 40s and 50s.
Mainly because you have more disposable income.
Yeah, because what an economist will say is, what we want to do is we want to optimize for spending over a lifetime so that the standard of living is as high as it can be at each point of life. And what most people will do is have their 20s and 30s on their arse, and then in their 50s, they've got too much money. And an economist will say that that's not optimal. You should have given yourself more of a break in earlier life so that when you're done, you go, I had a good time in every period, So anyway, I don't think that that's an excuse to not save early on, because if you can save early on, you're going to reduce the heavy lifting later on in life. But this is a really credible organization basically saying it's more than possible, potentially optimal, to do majority in later life. The side of that you need to recognize is, though, you need to get your savings rate up high. So you can't go, okay, well, I'm going to save 5% or 8% and have the same outcome as if I'd done that my whole life. But you're going to go 20%, 25%. And that might really make your kind of eyes water, this idea of tucking away 20 to 25% of your gross income. But let's not forget that if you're in your 50s and you're tucking money away into a pension, you'll be able to access that money in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So and if you work, if you're full-time employed, you might be able to go to your employer and go, do you have salary sacrifice? You can pay that money into your pension via salary sacrifice, dodge all of the tax that's associated with that, and then access that money tax efficiently in a few years. So it's really beneficial. It's not like a 30-year-old tucking it away who's got to wait 2 decades. It's, it can be really, like that's the best age to be paying into a pension because you get the benefit sooner. I'm not saying that you're going to need to save 25%. I can appreciate there's lots of people that can't do that, right? But you can't save 8% and get the same outcome as if you'd saved 8% your whole life. You're going to need to, the way to combat it is to ramp up the savings rate.
Yeah, you got to be a bit more aggressive. But I mean, I think for people in 40s, 50s, and generally everyone, like I hear a lot of people being like, oh, I want to start investing. I don't know what to do. I've been thinking about it for a while. Just getting started is like the most important thing. Like we did about 6, 7 episodes. I'm like, yeah, I need to sort out my lice. I need to sort out my SIP. And then like eventually, once I did it, it was easy.
It's super easy.
It's the first actual step of going, okay, today I'm going to do it. I'm logging on and doing it.
You just got to go to the gym.
It's like a walk. It's like going to the gym. Yeah. Once you go first, you're like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Just gotta go.
But if you think about it, you're like, oh, I'll go tomorrow. And that's what I did for ages with investing. I'm like, I'm in crypto. I'll do the other stuff later, my pension later. But if you just do the first step, it's easier, and then you learn and you get more interested in it because you're in the market.
Yeah. And also, but you have to be realistic with yourself that you might not retire early. If you're at 50 and you want to retire at 55 and you've got nothing, it's probably not going to be that realistic.
Of course.
So what you might then do is go, okay, we'll knock back retirement a year, or maybe I'll find other ways of working later into life. Do you remember when we spoke to Hamish and he was like 81 and sharp as anything, and he was continuing to work and was like really, I found it really inspirational.
I was shocked that he was 81. I thought it was like in 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, so he's a testament to that. If you keep active, you keep fit,
you keep sharp.
And I think with longevity and longer lifespans, this is a real opportunity for people to go, at 50, I'm still young. I might be working here for 30 years still. And work doesn't need to be turning up for the 9 to 5. It can be consultancy. It can be leveraging all of your expertise. It can be teaching. It could be online. It could be volunteering, whatever. I just think that, we need to reframe this whole, if I've not got all my money by 60, I'm done. It's simply not the case. So whack up the savings rate and have a conversation with yourself about, am I going to continue to work and what is that work going to look like? But most of all, don't panic. If you look at the statistics, I think something like 60% of people at 55 don't know how much is in their pension.
60% of people are 50.
Yeah,
wow.
they've either got so much money in there that they don't care, or I think what's actually happening is they're not engaged with it. So I think even if at 50 you're thinking, am I doing enough here? You're well ahead of people in your age group. Okay. Coco, should I focus mainly on the stocks and shares ISA, global ETF, or diversify across options like bonds, golds, and crypto to reduce risk? So I think, why diversification to decrease risk? What kind of risk are you looking to reduce? If it's the chances of a stock market crash, reducing the portfolio, and you're thinking, I really can't handle that, then, bonds potentially and gold can help with that. Crypto, I'm not sure is going to. Crypto's likely to make your portfolio more crashy, right?
More volatile, that's for sure.
That's what I mean. So, if you're looking to be less risky, then that I don't know if that's going to help, but I have a little bit of crypto because I think, broad diversification. I don't really know what's going to happen long term, and I know if it does what it thinks it's going to do, I'm a happy boy. If it doesn't, and I lose 1% of my portfolio, I'm not that fussed. So that's why I have a little bit of crypto, schmuck insurance or whatever. I don't know how old you are. I can't give you investment advice, Coco. It's completely up to you what you do. What I would encourage you to do is understand each asset class and understand its role in your portfolio and why you've got it. I should be able to sit down with you in a bar and say, why do you hold bonds? What are they doing in your portfolio? What are the characteristics of gold that you think are attractive within your portfolio mix? If you're just like, well, I don't know, I just buy it because, diversification, I don't think that's a good enough answer. I think the global index fund or global ETF will have exposure to gold anyway, indirectly through companies that mine it and things like that. So maybe that answers your question. But yeah, diversification for diversification's sake, especially into things that might de-risk your portfolio like bonds and gold, when you might be young and actually having that risk is a good thing. Yeah, I can't answer this because it's like investment advice and I don't know anything about them. I don't hold any bonds or gold. No, I don't hold any bonds or gold.
Yeah. I wear gold. I don't hold gold. I just wear gold.
You're holding gold right now.
All the time. So, Damien, I got a question for you.
Go
on. To finish off, what changes are you making to your finances this year?
So, I am buying buy-to-let.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah.
What road? Where? Postcode?
Yeah, evil landlord. There's going to be loads of people hating me in the comments. Well, my attitude with that was... there's a lot of negative sentiment about being a landlord in terms of like it's getting harder and harder and everyone's saying it's dead and all of this. So I think, pile into that. Greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy, that kind of vibe. I was going to do one in first lockdown, wasn't I, for the first ever time.
And you put it in the stock market.
Yeah, and I ripped it out to put it in the stock market. So yeah, I'm going through that process at the moment of buying the first of hopefully a couple. I have quite a lot of exposure to the stock market through pension and stocks and shares ISA. So I thought I could probably do with a little bit of property exposure. And the benefit of property is the leverage component that I can't easily get on my stock portfolio. So what I mean by that is I can put 25% of the value of the property in and control the whole asset. And if it rises in price by 10%, I get to keep that whole 10%. So that 10% uplift is on top of my 25% in.
Yeah.
So, I also think that the inflation play. So I believe that inflation over the next 10 years will be slightly elevated compared to what it has been in the past, maybe like 2-3%. So if I can put a mortgage debt on there and have that as an interest-only mortgage, inflation will eat away the real value of the debt. So I think that's like a way to profit from inflation. So in 10 years time, the 100 grand debt, say, on the mortgage will still be 100 grand in nominal terms, but inflation will have made 100 grand worth less in real terms. So yeah.
Good debt.
Yeah. So, that's it, mate. I'm buying one of those, which is a big change. It's something I've never done, and I imagine I'll absolutely hate it. They're going to get no end of drama. One thing I've learned about property is you buy the stock market, you log onto your app, you buy it, it's done. You own a bit of Elon Musk,
Yeah.
With the property thing, it's like, can you just prove where the cash came from and this and this? You send us a bank statement and, there's check-in fees and fees on fees. We're going to do an ID check. We're going to charge you a fee for that. I'm like, hold on, I'm paying for your services, but I've got to pay you to check who I am. Like, it makes no sense. The fees
you're accepting my money from my
joke.
bank. How have you found the process so far?
Yeah, it's painful, mate. It's like super
stressful or enjoyable? Not really.
I mean, I don't really get too stressed about it. I just I get annoyed when the lender is like, this is the list of information we need. And then 2 days later and they go, oh, and this, and this, and this. And it's like, just tell me what you want at once. Because I'm the kind of person that if you're asking me to sign a document, it'll take me 6 months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just keep putting it on there. There's no point. Like, doing something else. But no, it's not too stressful. And I'm excited to have another area of my portfolio. That will be nice.
Congratulations. I can't wait to come and stay. I know you let me come in for free.
I mean, you'll be a bit of a surprise to the tenants. I'm sure.
Don't worry, mate. You're like, it's tea.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Knock, knock.
Yeah.
You hear me at the door.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, every doorbell on a Damo house is a buzzer like that.
It's a buzzer for me. Yeah. Damo sent me.
Yeah. What about you? What are you changing?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Well, buying a car, but I might get it on finance. I'm not sure. I'm gonna rent one first.
Are you gonna rent one first?
I'm gonna rent one first, test it out.
G-Wagon.
Mercedes, no, not G-Wagon just yet because it's not actually practical in London, and it'll probably get like stolen, vandalized, or it's just going to cost me a lot to run. Mercedes GLC, I'm thinking. It's a bit bigger than my C-Class. Can fit some stuff in.
Like stuff, like a kid.
Yeah, like a car seat.
Hopefully a good chair.
So some new chairs for us.
Yeah.
No, the car seat, because when my C-Class is 3 doors, so 2-door. So like getting the car seat in is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Or getting the baby in the car seat. What else am I doing? Probably trying to buy more crypto. Contributing to my SIP. That's my main goal this year. I want to go heavy on the SIP.
On the
like
pension.
heavy on the contributions. I'm talking like over $1,000 a month. So like, yeah, I mean, I've been doing like 500, so I'm trying to ramp it up this year. Yeah, that's pretty much it. LISA, pension, and new car. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Move up north.
Move up north and live in my new buy-to-let that Demo got.
Yeah, you could be my tenant, mate.
I'll be your tenant. I know you give me mates rates, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, anything up north is mates rates compared to what you pay down here, mate. I could double it and you'd still think it was
like,
cheap.
thank you. Saving so much.
Yeah. If you like that, then check out our free newsletter series that I mentioned in the episode that we think explains all of the key steps you need to make to improve your personal finances this year. There's a link in the description for you.